Thanks for joining me. This is the video we're going to make my Give It a Bash hammer. Go on, give it a bash. So we're going to be heading all the way down to Oldfield Forge, down in Hereford. It's a 2-hour drive for myself, right down near Ross-on-Wye there. So here we are, tucked away in the middle of, well, deepest Herefordshire. We've got the old forge. So we're going to come and make his own hammer. Forging this way. You can see some warmth over here. Yeah, there's plenty of gas and heat and fire in here. Fantastic place. Just my kind of place. We're going to head round now to the shop and reception, which is just at the side of the building. It's got a nice seated area outside for lunch. Oh, I'll make us way in. Oh, we've got a dilemma going on today. We've got all these different shapes of hammers we can build. Or forge, that's the word for it. I mean, look at this. Isn't that beautiful? What a thing of beauty. A nice piece of metal. What would your decision be? And I'm sort of swaying towards this one, all polished up and looking rather nice. Too many choices. You know what I'm like, I can't choose anything, can I? I think that's the one. I think we're going to go for the polished. So they start you off with a chunk of metal there. There's two in there. There's one for myself and there's a guy next to me who's making an axe. And we put it in this gas furnace to get them right up to temperature, get this thing glowing red. To ease the burden a bit, we use this press, which just creates a small amount of shape to the end. If we're going to do the whole thing by hand, it would have took us longer than a day. But this just squashes that end down a bit. I'm pulling the lever, the guy's just positioning it. And we just get in that end to a bit of a point. But we've got no end of banging to happen. It's going to be a lot of work, and this does save us a lot of time. Yeah, that looks nice. It's in and out this furnace a few times. We get it onto the anvil there, and then it's down to me to do some bashing. Tippity tap. No, give it a whack. Come on. As soon as it starts getting cooler, you can hear the difference in the sound when you hit it. It starts off like with a bit of a squidgy sound, and then it soon becomes rock hard, and the hammer almost bounces off it. You can see the colour changing as it's cooling down, and bang, look, it's gone. That's got to go back in the heat. It soon becomes apparent why they use the press to get you going, because this process is really slow. You know, it's going in there, it's heating up, it takes 5 minutes to get it up to temperature again. And you can see it when I'm hitting this, I'm giving it a fair bit of beefage, and it hardly does anything to the heated metal. You can imagine trying to do that from scratch. It would take a lot of muscle and a lot of hitting. Okay, let's get it back in the furnace. We'll get it up to temperature, because now's the time to punch the hole through where the handle goes. Now this process, we've got like a point that's been put into the press here. It's got a nice wedge, and we've got to line that up, get it exactly in the right place where we need it to be, and then drop that pin down, that punch straight through that red hot piece of metal. Now we do it halfway to start with, then we turn it over and we do it halfway the other way. We've got to try and line these up. It's quite tricky to see where you're going to go. But look at that, pushing that straight through that molten metal up. Oh, isn't that just delightful? And it sticks to that. It comes up and bang, out it comes. You can just see the indent on the other side where it needs to go to put it back through to punch a little bit more through that side, just a tad more, so we make the indent. So can you see it now? You just see an indent there. So now let's just try and ram that all the way through from the other side as well. It's cooling down rapidly though, look. You can see how it's that's really cooling down quickly. It's not all the way through yet. We've got to bit both sides. We've got to punch out that little noggin in the middle. Oh, what a shot that is. Look, it's just a little noggin there that's got to come out. We'll get that heated up again. It's close. It's really close. Here we go. We're back out. We're really hot now. We can push that all the way through to create this hole. The thing is, that hole's not big enough though with this punch, so we've still got to drive a big chisel through it to make it bigger. And there it is. All the way through, make it as big as we can with this. Ooh, there it is. Switch the press off. Now that's the question. For me, I definitely ain't holding it while somebody else hits it that I don't know. I mean, if it was somebody I know, I don't think I'd want to hold it. And when you see this, you'll realise what I'm on about. How these guys do it, how they hold a chisel and let a complete stranger whack it with a massive hammer. I mean, I'd be fearing my fingers. I mean, look at that, he's holding it, he's like, go on, hit it harder. I'm thinking, what if I miss? I'm going to smash your hands up. But he's a brave lad, look. Oh, Will there, he's just letting me do it. And, yeah. I was trying to be as good as I could and not miss. I was actually quite nervous because I'm fearing I'm going to miss and I'm going to whack his hands. And I said to him, has anybody ever missed and whacked you? And he did say, well, yeah, but as long as I don't hit you on your thumb, you're all right. It don't hurt too much. I'm thinking, wow, that's going to hurt if somebody hits me with one of those sledgehammers. As it happens, in the afternoon, one of the other ironmongers did get his hand whacked by one of the customers and had to go to the hospital with a smashed up finger. So, yeah, I wasn't too wrong in what I was thinking. And this is another guy, look, he's a brave one as well, look. Brave or stupid, I'm not sure which. I mean, look, I'm not hitting it square every time. I'm fearing for his hands. And the guy that was with us who was making the axe, he was a terrible shot. But, you know, I was wincing every time he swung his hammer. But we kept on going. We kept driving this through. And then we did have one little pickle here where I'm whacking this with a tool. And I'm giving it plenty of beanage. I'm getting quite confident with me hitting. And you see that poor lady who's stood behind me there, look. She's she stood behind Will. And you watch this. Hold your breath. Oh. A flying piece of hot metal has whacked her on the leg. Quick, sign the disclaimer. Did she sign it? Did she sign the disclaimer? I think he's just checking. Don't want to claim. That's alright, she's got an Oldfield forged jacket on, look. She must be part of the furniture. I had a great time doing this though, it was good. I was absolutely worn out by the time, I know, yeah, a close one. I was worn out by the time we finished. It's tough going, hitting with that sledgehammer. Get them nice and hot again. There was a few odd bods in this place though. There's a guy who stood behind the furnace there. You have a look at him in a minute. It looks like he's come straight from Dex's Midnight Runners, look. Yeah, he's lost his confidence in me, look. He's like, oh, I'll let it on. I'm holding this thing. My hands are well away from you now. This was all about getting the shape right on the sides, flattening it out where the handle's coming through. I mean, I'm giving this everything now. I'm hitting that as hard as I can, and it's hardly touching the metal. Like I said about trying to do this from scratch with no tools, with no hydraulic ram or anything, wow, it would be so hard. So difficult.
Right, one more heat doing that. We'll crown these folders off, and we're going to get it up to temperature, and we're going to leave it to cool down. Nice opportunity for a break. Lovely, lovely. So
the shape's almost right. We're about there. He's nearly happy with how our hammer's looking. So he's saying just give it one more round of this beating on the side, and then going to let it cool down. We've just got to create a bit more shapeage on the sides. We're just making those nice little flattened edges on the base of the hammer. So get them nice and precise, make it look pretty tidy. And then that can be cooled.
About symmetrical.
We've got this wire brush first though, and we've just got to get the slag off it, look, all that sort of crud that's stuck to the surface. So every time you heat it, it gets all those bits where it's basically the metal is actually just coming away. It's almost like a corrosion from the heat. And now that's all off, we can let that cool down. So it's nice and cold now. We've had a dinner, we've had a tea break, been and got some sandwiches, and we can start to sand this back. So this is all about sanding, shaping, polishing, making it look nice, ready for when we do the heat treatment on it to make it, rock solid. So yeah, like you see, it's taking quite a while to sand that back, but when we get going, eventually we get it to a nice flattened end on there. Beautiful. And we carry on shaping, making it look how we want it to, getting the corners looking nice, getting the edges looking nice. They must go through some sanding, more sandpaper here, these sanding discs, the sheets. And we'll just get some nice chamfered edges on there as well, make them look nice. And you can see where I'm using that on that machine there. You've got like the flat blade that runs behind the paper. That's for doing really flat surfaces. And if you use the little gap between the wheel and that blade behind there, where I'm putting it in now, you can get a nice sort of smooth line because there's no hard surface behind the paper. So you can get a little bit of better shaping if you don't want it to be perfectly flat. Good for doing rounded surfaces like that. Something I didn't know that. First time I've used one of these machines before. And then we'll just go around and just tidy it up and try and get rid of some of the rough edges. Make it look nice. Flatten off those faces. I'm only going to polish up one side on this. I'm going to leave one side so it looks rustic and the other side's going to be all nicely polished. That's the plan anyway. I just want to wear out his sandpaper. I want to get my money's worth. Yeah, that's looking nice. That's what it used to look like. Now we've got some nice punches here, and we can bang his logo into the side, give it a bash. We've got to do this before we temper it, before we get it hardened. If we oops, a taser. If we do this once it's, well, you won't be able to do it once it's hardened. So yeah, I think now's the time to punch these in. I just hope I can spell. Yeah, give. There we go, we're getting there. It's a B-A-S-H. Give it a bash. Beautiful. Just how we like it. Now we're going to go for the hardening process. So we get that back in there, and it's all about getting this up to a nice temperature. You've got to get it hot enough that it becomes demagnetized. So we get it in there. We don't want to go too hot with it, but it's at the point where it just loses its magnetism. So we've got a little magnet, and once it's up to temperature, we hold the magnet on it, and if the magnet doesn't stick, we know we're right. As soon as... There we go. I've got the magnet in them pliers there, look. Is it going to stick to it? That side... Oh, yes, that side's still a bit sticky. So it's got to go back in again. I'm not doing it right. He wants to get involved. Oh, made all the difference that. There we go. Now then, will it be magnetised this time? Have we left it in there long enough? pull it out. Yep, it's ready. This is oil now, this is cooking oil. So you got to dunk it straight in there, get it deep. If you put it on the top it'll catch fire, but if you go deep enough then it won't, because there's no air down there. So we've now got to keep that in there. And it's all about the cooling process. It cools it slower in the oil than it would do if you dipped it into water. So it's still cooling it down, but at a slightly slower rate, and that's what hardens the surface. We just rub it in the coke, get the oil off, give it a chance to cool down a little bit. Dave, we don't want to cool it too quickly. We'll leave it in there for a bit. And once we've left it for a bit, we can just dunk it in the water and just finish it off. Just get it cooled down. Just give it a good wiggle in the water until it's to a temperature where we can touch it. And then we can polish this back up again. That's steaming away, beautiful. Almost there. We've got a finer grit in here now. And we're just going to buff this back up. Just work on it a little bit more. And this has been hardened now, so the surfaces should be slightly harder. And I've actually gone that far, I've wiped my bee out, look. But not to worry, because what you have to do is, if you left the hammer in a completely hardened state, if you whacked it, it would have a chance of shattering. So you have to heat the centre bit there where the guy's telling me. You heat the centre of the hammer, and what that does, it softens the centre, but you've still got the hardened points either side, and it stops it from shattering when you bash something. So if you hit something hard, it would not shatter anymore. It would absorb a bit of the impact, which also means that I can stamp a new bee on there as well. But you can see the colour of that, how it's like blued. That means you've got the temperature right, and that means that centre bit's softened off enough. Now we can just dunk that in the water again. There's so much to it, all this heating, cooling, to get the hardening and everything right. I'll just put that bee back in that I ground out. Yeah, it's back.
Yeah, we're back.
We'll just buff that up on the wire wheel, and then it just needs a handle. So they won't let us near the wire wheels. They don't trust us with those, unfortunately. I don't know why. They'll let you near that press and all the heat and everything else. You get the wire wheels, you're not allowed to get involved with that. The guy's got to do it for you. I did feel that this last bit was a bit rushed. I think the end of the day was drawing near.
We've got a hammer, give it a bash, we've just got to stick a handle in there.
Yeah, I thought I could have fitted the handle myself, which would have been nice, but it wasn't to be, I'm afraid. The guy insisted on doing it. But then again, he does whack his hand. Ow, how's your hand? Chops the end off the little wedge, and there it is, beautiful. Give it a bash.
This is Will, he's helped me make my hammer. What do you reckon? Give it a bash. Give it a bash, you can fix it.
Well, what a fantastic day that was. Made the hammer.
We'll leave the force behind. Great experience, I'd recommend it to anybody. What a cracking day.
And I managed to come out with all my limbs attached. Still got all my fingers, which is a bonus. There it is, look, back in the garage. We're going to just find a little bit of paint in the cupboard. What we got, a bit of red. Oh yeah, there it is, Ferrari red. This is going to look nice. Pop the top off it. Give it a little mix. A tiny brush. I'm just going to drop a bit into those stamps. Let it go hard and then sand it back. I should just define that right in just a little bit, just make it look nice. Give a bit of wet and dry on it in the polisher. Blast that back a bit. Let's have a look. What's it going to look like? Bingo. I'm pleased with that. That's $1 million. So here it is, my Give It a Bash hammer. Had a really great time down at the Oldfield Forge making the hammer. It was brilliant. Thanks to everybody down there. We had a great day. Cracking bit of kit as well. Nice tool. I don't know if I'll ever be using it. I just think it's a nice keepsake. Yeah, what a beautiful bit of kit. If you've enjoyed the video, if it's been of use, if you've liked watching it, then drop me a little thumbs up, subscribe, and there's plenty more to come. Thanks for watching.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.